Senior Counselor Taeyun adjusted his ceremonial robes as he addressed the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber. Representatives from over 3,000 species sat in tiered seating, their attention fixed on the holographic display showing a small blue planet. The findings on Species 7721, designation humans, require our immediate attention, Taeyun said, his voice echoing through the chamber. Xenobiologist Juwu, please present your report. Juwu stepped forward, her slender frame dwarfed by the massive chamber. She felt the weight of thousands of eyes upon her. Many of these beings had lived for centuries. Some came from worlds so different from her own that they required special atmospheric chambers to survive the Council's standard air mix. Yet all of them were about to make a terrible mistake. Distinguished Council members, she began, her voice steadier than she felt. Our standard observation protocol has revealed concerning traits in this species. They demonstrate extraordinary adaptability, persistence through adversity, and a paradoxical capacity for both devastating violence and remarkable cooperation. She touched her datapad, and the hologram shifted to show humans in various environments across Earth, surviving in frozen tundras, scorching deserts, dense jungles, and crowded cities. Notice how they adapt to almost any environment, she continued. Unlike most species who evolve for specific ecological niches, humans modify their surroundings instead of waiting for evolution to change them. Counselor Dongyun scoffed, his scaled skin reflecting the blue light of the hologram. Another dangerous species. We've heard these warnings before. The Mrelks were supposed to be dangerous too, and now they're one of our most peaceful members. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Juwu's shoulders tensed. The Mrelks had been nothing like humans. Their aggression had been ritualistic, limited by strict biological imperatives. Humans were different. With respect, Counselor, Juwu continued, changing the display to show human warfare throughout history. From ancient battles to modern conflicts, humans are different. They've survived multiple extinction events. Their history shows they can endure conditions that would eliminate most sentient life. The images shifted to graphs and data points, and their technological progression rate exceeds our predictive models. Look at this curve, from simple flight to orbital capabilities in less than 70 years, from basic atomic theory to nuclear weapons in less than 50, from rudimentary computing to global information networks in just 40. Uneasy whispers spread among the younger species representatives. The older, more established council members remained unmoved. Most concerning, Juwu pressed on, is their response to threats. When humans feel endangered, they don't retreat, they advance. They don't seek harmony, they seek victory. Taeyun leaned forward on his podium. What do you recommend? Juwu took a deep breath. This was the moment that mattered. Containment protocols, at minimum. Perhaps delayed contact until we better understand. Preposterous. Donghyun interrupted, rising from his seat. His voice boomed across the chamber. We are the Galactic Council, governing space for 50,000 years. What threat could a single primitive world pose? They haven't even established a permanent presence beyond their own moon. Several council members chittered or rumbled in agreement. Juwu noticed representatives from the military species nodding along with Donghyun. The observation data is clear, Juwu insisted. Humans are unpredictable. They form attachments to abstract concepts like freedom and sovereignty that override their survival instincts. They are primitives, Donghyun cut in again. Like all primitives, they will be awed by our technology and grateful for our guidance. The standard protocols have worked for thousands of species. Not all species are the same, Juwu countered, her frustration growing. That's the entire point of xenobiology. Humans show unique patterns off. Enough. Donghyun's voice echoed through the chamber. I move that we reject these paranoid recommendations and proceed with standard first contact protocols. Seconded, called a voice from the military sector. Taeyun raised his hand for silence. The motion has been proposed and seconded. We will now vote on whether to implement containment protocols for species 7721 or proceed with standard first contact procedures. Jiwoo watched in dismay as the voting commenced. The holographic display showed a rapidly growing tally against her recommendations. Most species trusted the Council's ancient wisdom and time-tested protocols. Few wanted to consider that they might be facing something unprecedented. Within minutes, the vote was complete. The decision appeared as a glowing number above the hologram of Earth. 2,781 against containment, 219 for. The Council has decided, Taehyun announced. Standard first contact procedures will proceed. A diplomatic mission will be dispatched within one standard cycle. This session is adjourned. The chamber filled with the sounds of moving bodies and quiet conversations as representatives began to file out. Jiwoo stood motionless, staring at the slowly rotating image of Earth. She thought about the humans she had been studying. Their art, filled with stories of aliens coming to their world, many of those stories ending in conflict. Their endless military preparations, even in times of relative peace. Their pattern of incorporating and improving upon every technology they encountered. "You look troubled, xenobiologist," said a rasping voice beside her. Jiwoo turned to find Kian, representative of the ancient Voxuri, one of the founding species of the Council. The Voxuri rarely spoke at sessions anymore, content to observe after millions of years of involvement in galactic politics. "They've made a mistake," Jiwoo said quietly. Kian's compound eyes reflected the light from the hologram. "Perhaps. I voted for your recommendation, you know." "You did?" Jiwoo was surprised. "I have watched many species join the galactic community. Most follow predictable patterns, but occasionally, the ancient being made a sound like rustling leaves, a Voxuri sigh. Occasionally, we encounter something truly new." As the chamber emptied, Jiwoo approached Taehyun, who was gathering his ceremonial items. "They're making a terrible mistake," she said. Taehyun looked at her, his eyes showing a hint of doubt beneath his official demeanor. "Perhaps," he replied, "but the Council has spoken. The diplomatic mission will proceed." Jiwoo looked back at the hologram of Earth one last time before it winked out of existence. "I hope I'm wrong," she whispered. "For all our sakes." The diplomatic vessel Harmony descended through Earth's atmosphere, its sleek silver hull gleaming in the sunlight. Below, a mixture of human military vehicles and government transports surrounded the designated landing area. Soldiers stood at attention, their weapons visible but lowered. News crews jostled for position behind barricades. Ambassador Minja watched the scene from the ship's viewing port. He had overseen 17 first contacts in his long career with the Galactic Council. All had followed predictable patterns: fear, awe, then gradual acceptance. Humans would be no different, despite xenobiologist Jiwoo's warnings. "Atmospheric composition confirmed safe," reported Doyun, checking the final readings. "Landing sequence complete in 30 seconds. Yuna adjusted the translator at her throat. "Remember our briefing about human physical greetings. They extend right appendages and grasp briefly." "Primitive customs," Minja said with a dismissive wave. "But we will respect them." The ship settled on the landing pad with barely a sound. After a moment of stillness, a ramp extended from the vessel's side. Ambassador Minja emerged first, his blue skin catching the sunlight. He stood nearly 7 feet tall, with 4 arms and eyes that shimmered like black opals. Behind him came Yuna and Doyun, similar in appearance but smaller in stature. The humans went silent. Minja prepared for the typical reaction: gasps of fear, perhaps screams. Instead, after a moment of shocked silence, applause erupted from the crowd. The human leader, a woman in a dark suit, stepped forward with an outstretched hand and a wide smile. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "We've been waiting a long time to meet our neighbors among the stars." Minja grasped her hand as practiced. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I extend greetings to humanity. We come in peace and friendship." Later, in the privacy of their temporary embassy, Yuna reviewed her notes. The humans appear eager to learn, she said, organizing her observations. They ask questions about everything: our technology, biology, culture, galactic politics. Standard primitive response, Minja replied, relaxing in a specially designed chair. It will take them generations to comprehend even basic galactic technologies. Do-hyun looked less certain. Their scientists asked very specific questions about our propulsion systems. They already grasped the theoretical concepts. Theory is not practice, Minja said. The gap between understanding gravitational manipulation and building a functional drive is vast. It took the Zelnians 200 years after first contact. The following weeks proved busier than expected. Human delegations requested tours of the Harmony. Scientists proposed collaborative research. Diplomats negotiated trade agreements with surprising sophistication. They learned quickly, Yuna observed after a particularly intense meeting with human engineers. All newly contacted species seem quick at first, Minja said. Then they reach the technology plateau. It's simply how development works. 3 months after landing, the Council authorized limited technology transfers, mainly medical and agricultural improvements deemed safe for primitive societies. The humans have already implemented the crop enhancement techniques across 3 continents, Do-hyun reported. Their distribution efficiency exceeds predictions by 40%. Minjae nodded absently, focused on his report to the Council. Note their enthusiasm. It will help justify expanded cultural exchange programs. 6 months after first contact, Do-hyun burst into Minji's office, his usual calm demeanor shattered. He held a datapad in trembling hands. Ambassador, the humans have already reverse-engineered components of our communication array. They're adapting our technology at an unprecedented rate. Minja looked up from his work. Show me. The datapad displayed images of a human facility where scientists had constructed a working replica of the quantum relay that allowed instant communication across vast distances. The Council had not included this technology in the approved transfers. How did they access the specifications? Minji demanded. They didn't, Do-hyun said. They observed our equipment during the diplomatic tours and figured it out themselves. Minja frowned. Impossible. The principles are too complex. The evidence suggests otherwise, Do-hyun insisted. Minji dismissed the concern with a wave. Copying is not understanding. They've built a facsimile without grasping the underlying principles. It probably doesn't even work properly. But 3 days later, Yuna confirmed that human communications were now bypassing Council monitoring systems, using quantum principles that should have been beyond their comprehension. Perhaps xenobiologist Ju was right to be concerned, Yuna suggested carefully. All species adapt and grow, Minja replied. The Council has managed this process thousands of times. There's no cause for alarm. The Council seemed to agree. Despite regular reports of human technological advances, the response was always the same. Monitor but do not interfere with natural development. 9 months after first contact, humans launched their first ship using gravitational manipulation technology, a crude version of the Council's standard drives, but functional. The Council approved limited exploration rights within the solar system. They're testing boundaries, Do-hyun warned. Like children learning what they can get away with. Children grow up, Minja said. The process cannot be rushed. 1 year after first contact, Yuna burst into Minji's quarters, her eyes wide with alarm. Sir, we've received reports of human vessels in the Proxima system. That's outside their authorized exploration zone. Minja looked up from the cultural text he was studying. Impossible, he said firmly. They couldn't have developed functional interstellar drives yet. The energy requirements alone. The evidence suggests otherwise, Yuna replied, displaying the images on the room's main screen. The pictures showed clearly human-designed ships near Proxima Centauri's 3rd planet, and Council species are reporting human trading vessels appearing in multiple sectors. Trading. Minji stood, his composure finally breaking. What could they possibly have to trade? Earth goods, art, music, food products, and technological innovations. Yuma hesitated. They've improved several council designs. Improved, Minjay whispered. His communicator chimed with a priority signal. The message flashed across the screen in urgent red text. Report unmediate tly on human containment status. Minjay stared at the message, then at the images of human ships where they should not, could not be. Containment. Doyan asked quietly. I thought the council rejected containment protocols. They did, Minjay said, his voice hollow. He remembered Juwoo's warnings. Unprecedented adaptability. Technological progression beyond predictive models. Advancement rather than retreat when faced with challenges. Prepare our ship, he told his assistants. We need to return to council space immediately. What about the embassy? Asked Yuna. The treaties were negotiating. Minja looked out the window at the human city beyond. In just 1 year, he had watched them absorb and transform council technologies that had taken other species generations to master. It's too late for treaties, he said quietly, and far too late for containment. As if to confirm his words, his communication device chimed again with reports of human vessels appearing in 3 more star systems simultaneously. Somehow, they had already surpassed the Council's transportation technology. They're not just learning, Doyan said, studying the reports. They're improving everything they touch. Minjay nodded slowly, and we handed them the keys to the galaxy. Councilor Taehyun rubbed his tired eyes as he reviewed the holographic display. The projection showed the spread of human settlements across 17 worlds, each marked with a pulsing red dot. 5 years ago, humans had been confined to a single blue planet. Now their presence stretched across 3 star clusters. Their expansion rate exceeds all projections, said Juwoo, standing beside him. The xenobiologist had been recalled from her research post to serve as special advisor on human affairs. Her earlier warnings, once dismissed, were now treated with grave seriousness. Show me the timeline again, Taehyun requested. Juwoo adjusted the display. A timeline appeared showing key events. Year 1, first contact. Year 2, first human interstellar vessels detected. Year 3, first human colony established on Proxima Centauri. Year 4, human colonies reach 5 worlds. Year 5, human colonies reach 17 worlds. And they're ignoring our territorial guidelines. Juwoo added, highlighting several red dots that blinked in regions marked with purple boundaries. These 8 colonies fall within buffer zones the Council established 10,000 years ago. The chamber door slid open, and Councilor Hyunbin entered. His usually perfect posture was slumped with exhaustion, his ceremonial collar askew. The Krell v. Gemini reports humans harvesting resources in their claimed systems, he announced without preamble. They've demanded council intervention. Taehyun sighed deeply. The Krell are militaristic, if they engage humans directly. Too late, interrupted Juwoo, her hand flying to the communication device at her ear. Her eyes widened as she received the incoming message. The Krell dispatched a battle group to expel humans from the Epsilon sector. They've been defeated. Stunned silence filled the chamber. The 3 council members stared at each other in disbelief. Impossible, whispered Hyunbin. The Krell possess Tier 3 military technology. Humans are barely Tier 1. Tier classifications were how the Council categorized technological advancement. Tier 3 meant antimatter weapons, shield technology, and neural-linked battle systems. Tier 1 meant simple energy weapons and basic space combat capabilities. The Krell commander reports humans utilized weapons technologies never observed in our preliminary exchanges, Juwoo said, reading from the report streaming across her device. They concealed their military capabilities. Taehyun moved to the central communication panel. Show me the battle records. The holographic display shifted to show space around a rocky planetoid. The recording, taken from Krell military feeds, showed 5 Krell warships approaching a small human mining operation. The Krell ships formed a standard attack pattern. their weapons charging. The human response came without warning. Small craft burst from hidden hangars in the planetoid surface. They moved with impossible speed, their trajectories defying normal physics. The Krell ships fired, but their weapons seemed to pass through empty space as the human vessels shifted position faster than targeting systems could adjust. Then the human ships fired, not with beam weapons or missiles, but with devices that somehow warped space itself around the Krell vessels. 2 Krell ships were crushed into unrecognizable masses. The third split apart as though torn by invisible hands. The remaining 2 attempted to retreat, but were disabled by precise strikes to their propulsion systems. The recording ended. No one spoke for several moments. The entire battle lasted less than 2 minutes. Zhu finally said, "The Krell never landed a single hit." "What kind of weapons are those?" asked Kunbin, his voice barely audible. "How could they have developed such technology without our knowledge?" "They didn't show us everything," Taeyun said grimly. "They showed us what they wanted us to see during cultural exchanges, just enough to seem cooperative. I warned that humans advance when threatened," Zhu reminded them. "They must have been developing these defense systems since first contact." "Defense?" Kunbin scoffed. "Those were offensive weapons of unprecedented power. From their perspective, they're defending their mining operations," Zhu countered. "Remember, humans have different concepts of territory and sovereignty." Taehyun straightened his robes with sudden determination. "Emergency session," he declared. "The Council must address the human problem before more conflicts erupt." Within hours, the Grand Chamber filled with representatives from thousands of species. Many appeared via holographic projection, their physical bodies light years away. Fear and confusion permeated the gathering. As the Council assembled, diplomatic feeds displayed on secondary screens showed alarming developments. 15 species, including some founding members of the Council, had already signed independent treaties with humans. The agreements promised technological exchange, mutual defense, and exclusive trade rights, effectively breaking thousands of years of Council unity. "This is unprecedented," Taehyun told the gathered representatives. "No species has ever posed such a rapid challenge to Council authority." "The humans should be contained immediately," shouted a representative from the Muldarian collective. "We must unite our military forces against weapons that crushed Krell battleships in minutes," countered another voice. "The Venturi Confederation has already signed a protection treaty with the humans. We will not support military action." The chamber erupted into heated arguments. Some species demanded immediate action against human expansion. Others insisted on further diplomatic engagement. A growing faction advocated for accommodation and alliance with the powerful newcomers. Jiwoo watched the chaos with a detached expression. She had seen this coming 5 years ago. Now it was too late. "You knew," Taehyun said quietly, joining her at the edge of the chamber. "You tried to warn us, and we didn't listen." "I knew they were different," Jiwoo corrected. "I didn't know exactly how they would change the galaxy. No one could have predicted this." The debate raged on as reports continued to arrive. Human ships had appeared in 12 new systems. 3 more species had announced treaties with Earth. A human diplomatic vessel had arrived at the Council's central world, requesting formal recognition of their status as a major galactic power. "What happens now?" Taehyun asked, almost to himself. "History happens," Jiwoo replied. "The Council has stood for 50,000 years, but nothing lasts forever. Change comes to all civilizations eventually." "Is this the end of the Council era?" Taehyun wondered. Before Jiwoo could answer, an urgent message silenced the chamber. The Krell hegemony, humiliated by their defeat, had launched a full-scale attack against the main human colony in the Epsilon sector. "No," Jiwoo whispered. "They'll only make it worse." The message continued. Human forces had not only repelled the attack, but had somehow disabled the Krell homeworld's defensive systems. The entire Krell military command was now under human control. In just 5 years, everything had changed. And as Jiwoo watched the council representatives argue helplessly, she knew this was only the beginning. General Woojin of the Council Defense Force stood before the massive tactical display in the command center. Stars, planets, and military assets glowed in different colors across the three-dimensional map. Red markers indicated known human settlements and installations. The preemptive strike will target human military installations across their colonies, Woojin explained, his voice firm and unwavering. The Council has authorized full suppression protocols. His officers nodded in agreement, except for Commander Sungho, who studied the battle plans with a furrowed brow. As the others filed out to prepare their units, Sungho remained behind. General, intelligence suggests humans may have hidden capabilities, Sungho said quietly. The Krell incident wasn't isolated. 3 other species have engaged humans in limited conflicts and were defeated with technologies we don't understand. Perhaps diplomacy. The decision is made, Woojin interrupted, his 4 eyes narrowing. The council voted. 3,000 years of peace are threatened by these upstarts. We cannot allow their unchecked expansion to continue. He placed a hand on Sungho's shoulder. I understand your concerns, but the combined might of the Council Defense Force is not comparable to isolated Krell battle groups. We will strike simultaneously at all 23 human colonies. They cannot defend everywhere at once. Sungho wanted to argue further, but knew it would be pointless. The attack plan had been developed over months, with input from the greatest military minds in the galaxy. It should work. It had to work. 3 days later, Woojin stood triumphant as reports flooded in from across human space. The surprise attacks had been devastatingly effective. Human orbital defenses had crumbled. Council forces held position above 17 human colony worlds. The remaining colonies were under blockade. We've done it, said Admiral Jiho, commander of the Third Fleet. The humans never expected an attack of this scale. Their vaunted technology didn't save them, added Fleet Commander Yunji. Perhaps their capabilities were exaggerated after all. Woojin allowed himself a small smile. Begin Phase 2. Landing operations will commence in 12 hours. Remember, we want to minimize civilian casualties. This is about containment, not extermination. That night, Woojin reviewed casualty reports with satisfaction. Council losses were minimal, just 8 ships lost and 32 damaged across all theaters. Human military installations had been reduced to rubble. Their fleet, such as it was, had been caught in orbital docks and destroyed before it could deploy. Too easy, Sungho muttered as he studied the reports. Sometimes the simple solution is the correct one, Woojin replied. The humans advanced too quickly. They expanded too widely. They couldn't possibly defend everything they claimed. Still, Sungho insisted, something doesn't feel right. Where are their advanced weapons? The ones that tore apart Krell battleships. Perhaps they only developed enough for small engagements. Perhaps the reports were exaggerated. Woojin waved a dismissive hand. Either way, it's almost over. On the 4th day, Woojin was awakened by alarm klaxons. He rushed to the command center, still securing his uniform. Report, he demanded. General, Sungho shouted, rushing toward him. His normal composure had vanished, replaced by naked fear. Human warships have appeared throughout Council space. They're not following any known jump patterns. They're simply appearing. Appearing. What do you mean appearing? Woojin pushed past him to the tactical display. What he saw made no sense. Hundreds of human vessels had somehow materialized simultaneously throughout Council-controlled space. They weren't just near the contested colonies. They were everywhere. Near Council core worlds, near critical supply depots, near civilian population centers. Impossible, Woojin muttered, staring at the tactical readouts. No species has mastered point-to-point teleportation on that scale. The energy requirements alone ruled. Sir, they're targeting our command centers, interrupted a communications officer. 4th Fleet headquarters has gone silent. 5th Fleet reports their systems are failing. Some kind of technology disruption field. Get me Admiral Jiho, Wujin ordered. Sir, all communications with the colony assault forces have been cut off, the officer replied. We're getting emergency transmissions from Council worlds Zenith Prime and Delta. Human ships have appeared in orbit and are demanding surrender. Surrender. Wujin couldn't process what he was hearing. We have them surrounded. We control their colonies. Not anymore, sir, Sungo said grimly, pointing to the display. The Council ships that had been blockading human worlds were now shown as disabled or destroyed. Somehow, in coordinated strikes across hundreds of light years, humans had turned the tide in less than an hour. The holographic display showed Council defenses falling across multiple sectors simultaneously. Strategic command nodes, communication relays, and defense platforms were being systematically neutralized, not destroyed, disabled. The humans were being remarkably precise. This is a nightmare, whispered Fleet Commander Yunji. How could they hide such capabilities? They let us attack, Sungo realized aloud. They sacrificed their outer defenses to draw our forces into position. They'd wanted us to commit. Reports continued to stream in. Multiple Council worlds were already negotiating separate surrenders. Some were not even waiting for human ships to arrive. They were preemptively declaring neutrality and requesting peace terms. General, incoming transmission, called the communications officer. It's broadcasting on all frequencies. I can't block it. The main screen flickered and changed. Instead of battle data, it showed a single human woman in simple clothing. Many recognized her, Jiwu, the xenobiologist who had first warned the Council about humans 8 years ago. Sir, said Sungo quietly, I'm receiving Jiwu's warning that was presented to the Council 8 years ago. Someone is broadcasting it on all channels. On the screen appeared Jiwu's final words from that presentation. If threatened, they will not stop until they feel secure. And their definition of security is broader than you can imagine. The recording faded, replaced by a live transmission from what appeared to be a human command ship. A tall human male in a simple dark uniform stood with hands clasped behind his back. General Wujin, the human said in perfect Council standard language, I am Fleet Commander Daehyun of Earth United Forces. Your attack on our colonies has been neutralized. Your fleets have been disabled. We now control all strategic points in Council space. Wujin's voice failed him. This couldn't be happening. Here are our terms, the human continued. Immediate cessation of all hostilities. Withdrawal of all Council military forces from human-claimed systems. Reparations for civilian casualties. And a complete restructuring of the Galactic Council to include human representation with equal standing to founding members. And if we refuse? Wujin found his voice at last. The human's expression didn't change. There is no refusal, General. These aren't negotiations. These are notifications. The old order ended when you launched your attack. The screen went dark. In the silence that followed, Wujin looked around at his command staff. Some looked terrified. Others seemed resigned. A few appeared almost relieved. What do we do now, General? Sungo asked softly. Wujin stared at the tactical display, watching as more and more Council worlds turned from blue to gray, indicating surrender or neutrality. We've awakened something we don't understand, he said finally. And now we must live with the consequences. The Grand Chamber of the Council looked different now. The ancient hierarchical seating had been replaced with a circular arrangement where all representatives sat at equal height. Sunlight streamed through the crystal dome above, casting rainbows across the polished stone floor, where once the oldest and most powerful species had looked down upon the others from elevated platforms. Now every delegate could look directly into the eyes of their peers. At the center of the circle stood human representative Jeho alongside Taehyun and Jiwu. The three figures made an unusual trio. The tall, four-armed Taehyun in his ceremonial council robes, the slender Jiwu in her simple xenobiologist garments, and Jeho in the crisp blue and white uniform of the Earth Unity government. The Galactic Cooperative is officially established today. announced Taehyun, his voice carrying to every corner of the chamber, replacing the former council structure with a new system of mutual defense and shared governance. Many former council species representatives watched with mixed emotions. Some nodded in approval. Others sat stiffly, their body language conveying barely concealed resentment. The war had lasted just 17 days, but it had ended 50,000 years of council dominance. Jeho stepped forward. Unlike many human leaders, he was not tall or physically imposing. What made him remarkable were his eyes, calm, determined, and unnervingly perceptive. "We regret the conflict that brought us here," said Jeho, his voice quieter than Taehyun's but no less commanding. "But we welcome the opportunity to build something better. Humans don't seek dominance. We seek partnership. But we will never accept restrictions on our growth or security." A murmur ran through the assembly. The implicit warning in his words was clear to all. The new charter guarantees sovereignty and self-determination for all member species, Jeho continued. No more buffer zones or restricted development paths. No more technological tiers that keep some species permanently behind others. Knowledge will flow freely. One of the elder representatives, a crystalline being from an ancient species, raised a glittering appendage. "And what guarantees do we have that humans won't use their superior technology to control us all?" "The same guarantee you have with any relationship," Jeho replied. "Trust, built over time through actions. We have disabled our weapons, as promised. We have withdrawn from contested territories, as promised. We have shared medical technologies that have already saved millions of lives across 17 worlds, as promised. Trust takes time," the crystalline being countered. "Yes," agreed Jeho. "And time is something we now have together." The formal ceremony continued for another hour. Treaties were signed. Oaths were taken. The old council was officially dissolved, and the new cooperative took its place. Species that had been enemies for millennia found themselves sitting side by side as equals. Ancient rivals were forced to address each other directly rather than through council intermediaries. When the public portion ended, most representatives departed to inform their homeworlds of the new arrangements. Only a small group remained behind in a private chamber adjacent to the main hall. Jiwoo stood by a large window, looking out at the stars. The council headquarters orbited a gas giant with spectacular rings. The view had always calmed her, even in the most difficult times, and there had been many difficult times lately. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said a voice behind her. She turned to see Jeho approaching, accompanied by 3 other human representatives. Taehyun joined them a moment later. "You were right about us," said Jeho, studying Jiwoo's face. "Your initial assessment of human nature was remarkably accurate. Why did you agree to help establish the new order? You could have stayed neutral." "Because you proved capable of restraint," Jiwoo replied. "You could have conquered the entire council, but instead you offered partnership to those who would accept it. You disabled military assets rather than destroying them. You spared lives when you could have taken them." "Not everyone sees it that way," said Taehyun, joining them. "Many former council species still fear humans." "As they should," Jeho said quietly. "Fear mixed with respect creates balance. We'll need your help, both of you, to make this new system work." Jiwoo looked out at the stars again. The warning was correct, but incomplete. Humans are dangerous, but also the catalyst the galaxy needed. "What do you mean?" asked Taehyun. The council had grown stagnant, Jiwoo explained. 5,000 years without meaningful change. Species confined to development tracks based on their first contact assessment. Resources allocated according to ancient treaties rather than current needs. She turned to face the group. The system needed to change, but it couldn't change itself. One of the human representatives, a woman with dark skin and silver hair, nodded. "Creative destruction. Sometimes the old must fall for the new to rise." "But at what cost?" Taehyun asked. "Millions displaced in the fighting. Centuries of stability gone." "The stability of a tomb," Jeho countered. Your own records show declining innovation across all council species for the past 2,000 years. Fewer new member species being discovered. Exploration initiatives cut. The galaxy was slowly dying. Tahian didn't argue. The data supported Jaho's claim. What happens now? Asked Juwu. Humans have achieved their freedom from restrictions. You've remade the galactic order. What comes next? Jaho walked to a large table in the center of the room and activated its holographic display. A map of the galaxy appeared, with thousands of stars highlighted in different colors. Exploration, he said, his eyes lighting up with genuine excitement. There are whole regions of the galaxy the Council never bothered to investigate. Potential species to contact. Mysteries to solve. He looked around at the assembled representatives. We've already detected signals from beyond the galactic rim that suggest other galaxies may harbor life. Imagine what we might discover together. Juwu watched the humans as they discussed possibilities. Their enthusiasm was infectious. Even Taehyun, who had lost so much status in the transition, seemed caught up in their vision. Later, as the meeting concluded, Juwu found herself alone with Jaho. Was it worth it? She asked him. All the destruction, the deaths. Jaho was quiet for a long moment. No single death is ever worth it, he finally said. Every life lost is a universe of possibilities extinguished. But history rarely offers perfect choices. He turned to face the window and the infinite stars beyond. We found ourselves in a galaxy that would have eventually contained us, limited us, perhaps even destroyed us if we resisted too strongly. We chose a different path. And if you encounter something out there that tries to contain you again, Juwu asked, then we will do what humans have always done, Jaho replied. Adapt, persist, overcome. He smiled slightly, exactly as you warned the Council we would. As they walked together toward the chamber exit, Juwu realized the galaxy would never be the same. Whether that was good or bad remained to be seen. But it would certainly never be boring again. The end.